Beloved, today we gather not in haste, not in worry, but in the tender embrace of stillness, in the quiet sanctuary of our own hearts. On this blessed 15th of November, let us pause, let us breathe, let us open the doors of our souls to the gentle whisper of the divine. O children of the earth, hear me. There is a power that moves in silence. There is a light that shines even in the shadowed corridors of our minds. And today we lift our voices not in fear, not in doubt, but in faith. For faith, my dear ones, is not the absence of struggle, it is the courage to rise when the world presses heavy upon your shoulders. Let us pray. Let us pray for spiritual growth, not for the world to change, but for our hearts to open. Let us pray for faith renewal, not for easy paths, but for eyes to see the beauty in trials, and hands to reach out when despair knocks at our doors. O God, maker of our spirits, we ask you to transform our minds and our souls. Remove the chains of doubt that bind our thoughts. Fill us with courage, with vision, with understanding. Let our hearts beat in rhythm with your love, and let our actions flow from that divine center. Teach us to listen, not just with our ears, but with the depths of our being. Teach us to forgive, not because the world deserves it, but because our souls demand it. You see, my friends, the journey to spiritual growth is not a race. It is a slow dance. And with every step, every pause, every whispered prayer, we are being reshaped. We are being made new. The burdens of yesterday fall behind us like autumn leaves drifting on a river. The hope of tomorrow glimmers before us, a sunrise in the temple of our minds. So on this day, on this 15th of November, let us vow to nurture our souls, to cultivate our faith, to embrace the peace that passes understanding. Let us rise with gratitude for the lessons we have learned, and with trust for the paths yet unseen. Beloved, hear me now. When your spirit feels weary, when your heart trembles, when the world seems dark, remember, there's a sanctuary within you. There is a voice quiet and steady, speaking of love, of strength, of renewal. Listen, respond, pray, and be transformed. May your mind be enlightened, may your soul be refreshed, and may your faith soar like an eagle on the wings of divine grace. Amen. Beloved, there is a sacredness in stillness. There is a majesty in pausing, in allowing ourselves to stop the endless motion that life demands of us. So often, we are caught in a whirlwind. Our minds racing, our hearts burdened, our spirits tethered to the noise and clamor of the world. And yet, within the quiet, within the pause, there lies a doorway to understanding, a doorway to God, a doorway to the growth of our very souls. For spiritual growth does not come to the hurried, it does not bow to the impatient. It comes gently, softly, as a breeze over the water, as a whisper in the night, as a ray of sunlight piercing the clouds after a storm. O children of the universe, hear me now. The world tells you to rush, to do, to achieve, to conquer. It measures your worth in accomplishments, in the ticking of the clock, in the applause of others. But I tell you that your worth is not found there. Your worth is found in the spaces between, in the silence between your thoughts, in the heartbeat that connects you to the divine. Spiritual growth requires that you listen, not just with your ears, but with the depths of your being. It asks you to turn inward, to seek not the noise of the outside world, but the music of your soul. When you pause, you allow your spirit to breathe. You allow your heart to speak, your mind to settle, and your soul to remember who it is at its core. It is in this sacred stillness that transformation begins. For how can a flower bloom if it never rests in the soil? How can a river find its strength if it never pauses behind the rocks, gathering its waters before flowing onward? So too must we pause. So too must we listen. So too must we allow the divine to move within us. I know, my friends, that the world will press upon you with urgency. It will demand your attention, your time, your energy. It will whisper that to pause is to waste, to rest is to falter, to reflect is to delay. But I say to you, there is no waste in stillness. There is no faltering in reflection. There is no delay in prayer. For the seeds of spiritual growth are planted not in haste but in patience. They are watered not by force but by quiet contemplation. They are nurtured not by the clamor of achievements, but by the gentle insistence of presence and awareness. When you stop, you begin to see, you begin to notice the small miracles that surround you, the sunlight dancing on leaves, the rhythm of your own breathing, the steady beat of your heart, a song composed by God Himself. You begin to feel the whispers of the Spirit guiding you, nudging you, reminding you that you are never alone, that you are always held, that your journey is sacred. And it is in these moments that your soul stretches, that your mind opens, that your spirit rises toward growth. Pause, I urge you, and do not underestimate the power of one moment fully lived. One moment of awareness. One moment of surrender. One moment where you set aside the weight of the world and simply exist in the presence of God. There is a transformation that occurs in such moments. The mind, which has been cluttered with worry and fear, begins to clear. The heart, heavy with doubt and regret, begins to lighten. The spirit, long hidden under layers of distraction, begins to shine. This is spiritual growth, not as a distant dream, not as a reward to be won, but as a living reality unfolding within you here and now. And as you learn to pause, as you learn to listen, as you learn to honor the sacredness of your own being, you will begin to carry that peace outward. You will find that in stillness you become more patient with others, more compassionate, more understanding. Your presence will calm the storms of those around you, simply because you have learned to calm your own storms. You will walk through the world with a quiet confidence, knowing that your worth is not measured in the noise you make, but in the depth of the soul that listens, that feels, that grows. Yes, there will be moments when the world shakes you, when the demands are loud, when the chaos seems unending. And in those moments, remember this: the stillness you cultivate within is a refuge you can return to. It is a sanctuary that cannot be touched by the rush of life. It is a strength that cannot be broken by the clamor of the outside world. It is a wellspring from which your spirit drinks and from which your growth flows. So, beloved, do not fear the pause. Do not fear the quiet. Do not fear the moments when you stand still and simply breathe. For in those moments you are listening to the voice of God within you. You are opening the doors of your heart. You are planting the seeds of spiritual growth that will blossom into wisdom, into faith, into a soul that knows itself as holy and whole. And as you continue on this path, you will see that stillness is not empty, it is full. Full of insight, full of grace, full of the quiet power that transforms mind, body, and soul. Oh, my dear ones, the world may never fully understand the sacredness of your pause. They may rush past, blind to the miracles unfolding in quiet hearts. But do not let that sway you. Do not let that diminish you. For you have glimpsed the truth that is eternal, that within the silence there is growth. Within the pause there is transformation. Within the stillness there is God. And so breathe, beloved. Breathe deeply. Sit in the quiet. Listen to the whisper of your own soul. Feel the gentle shaping of your spirit. Allow the divine to move through you, through every thought, every memory, every dream. For in this sacred stillness you are learning the greatest lesson of all, that to grow spiritually, to deepen your faith, to renew your soul, you must first learn to stop, to breathe, and to honor the holy sanctuary within. O children of light, hear me as I speak to the weary and the hopeful alike. Faith is not a treasure found in easy moments. It is a flame that burns brightest when the winds howl and the storms rage. It is not born in comfort. It is forged in the fires of struggle. And so, my beloved, to renew your faith is not merely to say words or close your eyes. It is to rise each day with courage, to lift your spirit when the world presses heavy, to trust in the unseen and the unheard. Faith, my dear ones, is a declaration, a sacred, quiet declaration, that though the night is long, the dawn will surely come. Yes, there are moments when doubt creeps into the chambers of the mind. Moments when fear whispers that you are alone. Moments when sorrow weighs like stones upon your heart. In these moments you must remember that faith is not the absence of fear. It is the courage to stand in the face of fear and yet move forward. It is the decision to believe in God's goodness even when the signs seem hidden. It is the knowing that every trial, every burden, every tear is not in vain, for God walks with you in each step, unseen yet unyielding. Listen, O weary traveler, to the rhythm of your own heart. Let it speak to you of endurance, of resilience, of the quiet power that has carried you thus far. For even in moments of doubt, even in hours of despair, your heart has not ceased to beat. Your soul has not ceased to dream. And in that continued beating, that persistent dreaming, lies the proof of faith. Faith that has not yet abandoned you, faith that whispers, I am here, I am with you, I will not let you falter. Faith renewal is not a single moment of revelation, it is a journey, a pilgrimage of the Spirit. It is the slow unfolding of understanding, the quiet reshaping of hope, the gentle return of trust to a heart that has known loss. It is the recognition that you do not have to carry your burdens alone, that your prayers are heard even when silence greets them, that God's hand is ever upon you, guiding, comforting, strengthening. It is a renewal that does not demand perfection, only sincerity, that does not require certainty, only willingness to believe. Oh, beloved, faith is a garden, and like a garden it requires tending. It requires patience when storms tear at the soil. It requires care when weeds of doubt threaten to overtake the growth. And yet with attention, with love, with persistence, it flourishes. The flowers of trust bloom even after the harshest winter. The vines of hope climb higher, reaching for the sun, drinking from the rains of God's mercy. And the fruits of this renewal are not merely for yourself. They spill outward, blessing the world around you, carrying peace to hearts that have forgotten how to believe. There will be days when your faith feels fragile, like a candle flickering in the wind. Do not despair. The candle's flame is not diminished by the storm. It is strengthened when protected and nourished. Protect your faith, my dear ones, with prayer, with meditation, with acts of kindness, with words of gratitude. Nourish it by remembering the miracles you have already witnessed, the trials you have survived, the love that has carried you through darkness. And when you do this, when you cultivate your spirit with intention, your faith will rise again, brighter, stronger, steadier than before. Hear me when I say this. To renew your faith is to embrace vulnerability. It is to admit that you are human, that you stumble, that you falter, that you grieve. Yet even in this admission, there is power, for the recognition of your weakness opens the door to God's strength. In the moments when you feel unworthy, remember that faith is not about worthiness. It is about willingness, willingness to trust, willingness to surrender, willingness to rise after each fall. And in this rising, O beloved, your faith is reborn, not as a fragile hope, but as a steady flame that can light the path for yourself and others. And do not think that faith renewal is for solitary hearts alone. Faith is a river that flows in community, that is nourished by shared prayers, by mutual encouragement, by the songs and stories of those who have walked before us. Seek out the voices that uplift you, the hearts that understand your struggles, the hands that reach out in support. For in fellowship, faith is strengthened, in shared devotion, hope is renewed, in collective prayer, the spirit soars higher than it could alone. Remember this, beloved, every challenge you face is an invitation to deepen your faith. Every setback, every disappointment, every tear is a chance to reach farther, to trust more fully, to surrender more completely. The world may shake you, the winds may buffet you, and the storms may roar, but the spirit that has been renewed in faith is unshakable. It bends but does not break. It trembles but does not fall. It walks through the shadows with a courage born of trust in the unseen hand of God. And so, my dear ones, I urge you, renew your faith today. Let it rise like the morning sun after a long night. Let it flow through your thoughts, through your actions, through your love. Let it transform the way you see yourself, the way you see the world, the way you see the divine. Know that each moment of prayer, each act of trust, each whisper of hope is a step forward on the path of spiritual awakening. And in this journey, remember, you are not alone. You are cradled in God's embrace, guided by divine hands, and strengthened by the eternal flame of faith that burns within you. Rise, beloved. Rise with courage. Rise with hope. rise with faith renewed, and walk into your world transformed, knowing that the storms cannot extinguish what God has ignited, that the darkness cannot overpower the light you carry, and that your soul, ever resilient, ever steadfast, is a testament to the enduring power of faith. Beloved, listen closely. For there is a quiet power in transformation. There is a sacred artistry in allowing the divine to move through the very depths of your being. Spiritual growth is not a fleeting whisper. It is a journey, an unfolding, a symphony of heart, mind, and soul dancing together in harmony with God's grace. And it begins when you surrender, not out of weakness, not out of despair, but out of the holy understanding that you cannot carry this life alone, that your mind, your heart, your soul are vessels awaiting the touch of the Creator. O children of light, do you hear me? Transformation does not happen in the clamor of distraction. It does not bloom in the hurried moments of the day or in the endless pursuit of fleeting desires. No, transformation asks that you pause. It asks that you open the doors of your mind and soul to the quiet presence of God. It asks that you lay down the heavy burden of judgment, of fear, of doubt, and allow the divine to wash over you like a river, cleansing, shaping, renewing. For it is in this sacred surrender that true change begins. The mind, so often cluttered with worry and noise, must first be calmed. It must first be softened. How can wisdom enter a heart that is hardened by anger, by bitterness, by fear? How can clarity arise from a mind clouded by resentment, by regret, by pain? My beloved, the transformation of the mind is not about erasing your experiences. It is about understanding them, about seeing them through the lens of divine love. It is about learning that even in your mistakes, in your missteps, in your darkest hours, there is a lesson, a seed of growth planted by the hand of God. And the heart, oh, the heart, that fragile and mighty vessel, must also be touched. It must be open to the fullness of love, to the tenderness of compassion, to the courage of forgiveness. For the heart that is closed off, the heart that holds grudges, that shelters bitterness, cannot know the freedom that comes from spiritual renewal. To allow God to transform your heart is to allow a river of grace to flow through every chamber, every corner, every scar. It is to feel in the deepest fibers of your being that you are worthy, that you are loved, that you are held, and that in this love there is the power to heal, to rise, to shine. And the soul, oh, your precious soul, the eternal spark within you, must be nurtured with intention. For the soul does not thrive in neglect. It does not flourish in distraction. It thrives when you listen to its quiet yearnings, when you honor its call, when you feed it with prayer, with reflection, with acts of kindness. The soul knows the voice of God even when your ears are deafened by the noise of the world. It recognizes truth, even when your mind is clouded with doubt. It longs for connection, for purpose, for meaning. And when you allow the divine to move through your soul, O beloved, a metamorphosis occurs. Your perspective shifts, your priorities realign, your entire being vibrates with the energy of renewal. Transformation is not always comfortable. It is not always gentle. There will be moments when the old self resists, when fear rises like a tide, when the familiar patterns of thought and behavior cling to you like shadows. But know this, discomfort is the midwife of growth. Resistance is the echo of what is being released. Pain is the herald of the new life that awaits. And if you hold fast to your faith, if you remain open to God's touch, you will emerge from the struggle more radiant, more grounded, more aligned with the sacred purpose for which you were created. Oh, beloved, do not mistake transformation for haste. Do not seek it in a single revelation, in a sudden change, in the dramatic moments of life. Transformation is patient. Transformation is persistent. Transformation is a quiet, steady unfolding, like the rising of the sun over a dark horizon, like the slow blooming of a flower that has weathered winter's frost. It asks that you pay attention to the small victories, the subtle shifts, the tender awakenings of spirit and mind, for these are the moments that accumulate, building a foundation for a life that reflects the love, wisdom, and grace of God. And as your mind, heart, and soul are transformed, you will begin to notice the world in a new light. You will see the beauty in the broken, the potential in the weary, the goodness in places that once seemed barren. Your actions will reflect this transformation. Your words will carry gentleness and strength. Your gaze will seek the light even when shadows surround. For when the divine moves through you, it does not only change what is within, it radiates outward, touching those around you, inspiring hope, encouraging growth, offering solace. Let me tell you, beloved, there is no end to this transformation. It is a lifelong journey, a sacred pilgrimage, a continuous conversation between you and God. With every breath, with every prayer, with every act of love, the mind is refined, the heart is softened, the soul is elevated. And in this ongoing renewal, you discover the true meaning of spiritual growth. Not perfection, not achievement, but alignment. Alignment with the divine, alignment with your higher self, alignment with the sacred rhythm of life that calls you to rise again and again in strength, in grace, and love. So hear me now, my dear ones. Do not fear the process. Do not be discouraged by the slow unfolding. Do not despair in the moments when change feels distant. Trust in the gentle, powerful hand of God that moves within you. Trust in the whisper of the Spirit that guides you. Trust in the love that will not let you go. And as you surrender to this sacred transformation, as you allow the divine to shape your mind, renew your heart, and lift your soul, you will find that you are becoming more fully yourself, more deeply alive, more attuned to the eternal rhythm of grace and purpose. Rise, beloved. Rise in awareness. Rise in courage. Rise in love. Allow the divine to transform you, not in haste, not in fear, but with the quiet, steady, enduring power that creates stars, that shapes mountains, that breathes life into the very universe. And in this transformation, know that you are not only renewed, you are radiant, you are whole, you are divine. Beloved, there is a power in prayer that stretches far beyond words. There is a current in the stillness of devotion that touches the deepest places of the soul. Prayer is not simply a ritual, it is a lifeline, a bridge between your mortal heart and the eternal presence of God. It is through prayer that the soul speaks its truest longings, and it is through prayer that transformation begins, not just for the mind or the body, but for the spirit itself. For to pray is to open the doors of your being, to release what is heavy, to invite what is holy. Oh, my children, hear me now. Prayer is not a magic spell that bends the universe to your will. It is not a promise of ease or escape from life's storms. No, prayer is the act of surrender, of turning toward the divine with honesty and courage, with all your doubts, fears, and desires laid bare. It is the moment when you admit that you cannot walk this path alone, that you are human, and that in your vulnerability there is the power to rise. Faith grows in these sacred conversations, for when you speak to God with your whole heart, when you listen in return, your spirit begins to realign with truth, with love, with purpose. And let us speak of renewal, my beloved, for this is the fruit of persistent prayer. Renewal is not a fleeting feeling. It is the steady, enduring work of the divine reshaping your mind, your heart, and your soul. Each time you pray with sincerity, each time you pause to reflect in the presence of God, you are renewed. Old doubts are washed away, hardened thoughts soften, the burdens that weigh upon your spirit lighten. Your mind, once clouded by fear and confusion, begins to see with clarity. Your heart, once heavy with sorrow, begins to beat in rhythm with hope. Your soul, once restless, finds its anchoring in the eternal. There will be days, O beloved, when prayer feels like a whisper against a roaring wind. There will be nights when the silence seems unbroken and the answers seem distant. But do not despair. For it is precisely in these moments of quiet struggle that prayer works most profoundly. It is the act of persistence, the refusal to give up, the daily return to devotion that calls forth God's presence. And when you continue, even in small steps, you will find that your prayers are not empty. They are vessels, and they are being filled with the divine grace that your spirit seeks. Prayer also teaches the sacred art of letting go. How often do we clutch at life, holding tightly to worry, to anger, to resentment, to expectations unmet. But in prayer, you learn to release. You learn to set down the burdens that were never yours to carry alone. You learn to forgive, not because the world deserves it, but because your soul demands it. For there is a freedom that comes when the heart stops clenching, when the mind stops grasping, when the spirit ceases its relentless striving. And in that freedom there is renewal. In that freedom there is growth. In that freedom there is peace. Oh, beloved, let your prayers be honest. Let them be raw. Let them be filled with tears and laughter, with gratitude and yearning, with every fragment of your being. Speak to God not with the mask of perfection, but with the truth of your soul. For the divine knows your heart better than you do. The divine listens not to the elegance of your words, but to the sincerity of your spirit. And when you pray in this way, when you lay yourself bare in the presence of love eternal, you open the door to transformation. You create a space in which God can move, and in that space your life is reshaped. And do not forget, beloved, that prayer is also an act of action. It is not simply asking, it is listening. It is not simply seeking, it is responding. The renewal that comes through prayer moves outward into your thoughts, your words, your deeds. Your mind begins to think in ways that reflect wisdom. Your heart begins to feel with compassion. Your soul begins to shine with love. Prayer is the seed, but action is the growth. And in this union of devotion and response, you become a living testament to the power of God's presence within you. There is also a humility in prayer that cannot be overstated. To pray is to acknowledge that you do not have all the answers. To pray is to surrender the illusion of control. To pray is to admit that you are a work in progress, a spirit unfolding, a soul seeking the light. And it is in this humility that renewal occurs. For when we lay down the pride that blinds us, when we release the fear that confines us, we create a sanctuary for grace. We make room for transformation. We allow the mind and the soul to be shaped by wisdom beyond our own understanding. Beloved, hear me, the process of prayer, of devotion, of surrender is not linear. There will be moments of doubt, moments of frustration, moments when the heart grows weary. But know that even in these moments the divine is at work. Even when you feel unheard, your prayers are being answered, not always in the ways you expect, but always in the ways your soul requires. Each whispered plea, each tear shed, each breath offered in devotion is shaping you, refining you, preparing you for the fullness of spiritual growth. And so, my dear ones, I urge you embrace prayer as the path to renewal. Return to it daily, not merely as a ritual, but as a lifeline. Speak from your heart. Listen with your soul. Release what weighs you down. Receive what lifts you up. Allow the divine to move through every thought, every emotion, every cell of your being. And in this sacred act of surrender, you will discover that your mind is clearer, your heart is lighter, and your soul is vibrant with the joy and peace that only God can provide. Rise, beloved. Rise in devotion. Rise in courage. Rise in love. Let your prayers be a river that flows through your life, washing away doubt, cleansing fear, renewing faith, and carrying you toward the transformation that awaits. And as you rise, know this: you are never alone. You are cradled by grace. You are guided by wisdom. You are renewed by the eternal power that dwells within and around you. And in this renewal you will walk with a mind unclouded, a heart open, and a soul set free. Beloved, hear me, for there is a sanctuary within you. There is a place untouched by chaos, unshaken by the storms of the world, unbothered by the clamor of the restless hours. This sanctuary is your spirit. This refuge is your soul. And it is here, within this sacred inner space, that peace begins, hope flourishes, and the divine whispers truths that the world cannot silence. There are days, O children of the earth, when life feels like a tempest, when the burdens press heavy, when sorrow lingers longer than the dawn. And yet, even in these moments there is a stillness that cannot be touched, a quiet place where God's hand rests upon you, where your heart can find its rhythm again, where your soul remembers its strength and its dignity. Oh, my beloved, too often we search for peace in places outside ourselves. We seek it in the approval of others, in the accumulation of wealth, in the fleeting moments of pleasure, in the applause of strangers. And yet peace, true peace, is not found there. True peace is cultivated within. It grows quietly, like roots reaching deep into the soil, like a river gathering its strength from unseen springs, like a flame that burns steadily when sheltered from the wind. You, my dear ones, carry this sanctuary within. You carry the light, the hope, the strength, the wisdom that can never be taken away, no matter how turbulent the world becomes. And it is in this inner sanctuary that faith becomes tangible. For when the storms rage outside, when uncertainty threatens to sway you, when despair knocks upon the door of your mind, your inner refuge remains. Here you can listen to the still, small voice that calls you to courage. Here you can feel the gentle pull toward hope. Here you can allow the divine to renew your spirit, to strengthen your resolve, to whisper assurances that you are not alone, that you are loved, that you are capable of rising again and again. For the sanctuary within is not passive, it is active, alive, vigilant, holding you steady when the world sways. Oh, children, do not underestimate the power of this inner refuge, for it is here that resilience is born. It is here that clarity of mind emerges. It is here that the soul gathers courage. Life will test you, beloved. Life will push against your boundaries, challenge your convictions, and demand more of you than you believe you can give. And yet when you return to this inner sanctuary, you remember the truth that you have endured before, that you can endure again, that within you lies a strength and a grace that no hardship can diminish. It is here in this sacred place that your spirit whispers, "Rise, rise, rise," and you do. And let us speak of hope, for hope is the twin flame of faith. When your soul rests in its sanctuary, it finds hope even in the darkest hours. Hope is not a naive expectation that all will be easy. No, hope is a quiet, unshakable knowing that the divine walks with you, that the future holds possibility, that your efforts, your prayers, your love, and your courage are not in vain. Hope is the light that flickers in the corners of your mind when the shadows press in. Hope is the song of your soul when fear attempts to drown out all other sound. And in this hope, your inner sanctuary becomes not just a refuge but a launching pad, a place from which you can face the world renewed, strengthened, and unafraid. Beloved, peace is not merely the absence of conflict. It is the presence of alignment with your values, your purpose, your calling, and the divine. When you cultivate your inner sanctuary, you learn to distinguish what is fleeting from what is eternal, what is trivial from what is sacred. You learn to measure your life not by the chaos around you, but by the integrity within. You learn to move through the world with gentleness, patience, and courage, because the peace you carry is not dependent on circumstances. It is rooted in the unshakable foundation of your soul. And this sanctuary is not selfish. Oh no, beloved. When you find peace within, you radiate it outward. Your presence becomes a balm to others, a light that guides those lost in the dark, a song of encouragement to hearts that have forgotten how to hope. The serenity cultivated inside you becomes a gift for the world, a ripple of calm in the storm, a reminder that the divine works through those who are grounded, centered, and aligned with their higher purpose. You become a channel of grace, a vessel of strength, a witness to the power of God's peace at work in human hearts. And let us not forget the importance of vigilance. This sanctuary within must be tended, cherished, protected. The mind must be disciplined, the heart nourished, the soul fed with prayer, reflection, gratitude, and acts of love. For the world will attempt to distract, to overwhelm, to drain this sacred space. There will be voices that sow doubt, that whisper despair, that tempt you to forget the light within. But remember, beloved, your inner sanctuary is yours, and it cannot be taken from you without your consent. Guard it, return to it daily. Sit in silence. Listen to your breath. Listen to the rhythm of your heart. Listen to the whispers of the divine, reminding you of your worth, your purpose, your power, your grace. And, O children of the universe, rejoice in the knowledge that this sanctuary is eternal. The storms may come, the night may seem endless, the challenges may rise higher than mountains, but the peace within is everlasting. It does not waver. It does not fade. It is anchored in the divine, in the love that created you, in the spirit that sustains you. You can always return to it. You can always breathe into it. You can always find renewal, guidance, and strength there. And when you do, you become unshakable, radiant, and free. So rise, beloved. Rise with the knowledge that the refuge of your spirit is unassailable. Rise with courage, with hope, with faith renewed. Carry the peace of your inner sanctuary into every corner of your life, into every encounter, into every challenge. Walk with the confidence that comes from knowing that no external storm can touch the light that resides within. And in this peace, in this unshakable faith, in this radiant hope, you will find the power to live fully, to love deeply, and to be transformed by the eternal grace of God.